All right. Thanks again for sharing your names and your institutions with us. And now I'll leave scene to Alex to welcome you.
Thank you very much, Ozan. It's great to have so many people from all over the world joining us today. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are. And welcome to this fourth CMS InTouch event for 2021 and our second CMS InTouch PDW in our Publishing Critical Work series. In this series, we bring you on a monthly basis in conversation with editors of journals that are not only supportive, but actively welcoming of critical work. And conversely, we bring the editors of those journals in conversation with their communities. So our aim is to support and nurture the critical scholarship in these particularly challenging times, and also to help make our critical community more open and inclusive by connecting people across various geographical, political, economical, linguistic, etc. boundaries. And we also want to foster the discussion about the nature of publishing and knowledge production and consumption in our field. So, which is why that we are particularly delighted to have Ephemera with us today. Ephemera is a truly remarkable journal because not only have they been championing critical work and open access publishing over many years now, but they have managed to do this in a way that is unique, democratic and fun in the age of neoliberal business schools and league tables and rankings and all that sort of thing. So we're really delighted to have Birke, Nick and Randi with us today. I'm going to pass you on into the capable hands in a moment, but just before we start, a couple of housekeeping points. So first of all, we're going for an hour today, so quite a brisk and snappy conversation. And secondly, please, we will have a discussion session at the end. So please do feel free to ask questions at any point during the workshop using the Q&A function. Please make sure you put your questions into the Q&A function rather than the chat function. And this is so we can have all the questions in one place rather than trying to hunt for them across chat and Q&A function, to just make sure that it will be easier for Birke, Nick and Randi to answer them at the end. And the Q&A function is the one with 2 speech bubbles at the bottom of your screens on the right. Okay, I think this is it for now from me. So without further delay, I'm going to pass you on to Birke, I believe, who is going first. So enjoy.
Yes, thank you, Alex, and hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here and to get the opportunity on behalf of Ephemera to speak on behalf of Ephemera about Ephemera. I'm here with Randi and Nick, my 2 peers at the Ephemera Collective. I'm a postdoctoral researcher based at the Free University in Berlin and also at Copenhagen Business School. And I have been a member of the Ephemera Collective for almost 10 years now in different roles and functions. We have a rotating system of administrative tasks at the collective, as I was involved as a book review editor, managing the website. Currently, I'm the editorial manager of the collective together with Emil, who's also at Copenhagen Business School. We, as I said, very happy to talk a bit more about Ephemera today. But before I start, maybe Randi and Nick, you can introduce yourselves.
Yeah, thank you, Birke, and of course, thank you also from my side for the invitation. Hi, everyone. My name is Randi Heinrichs. I'm a PhD candidate at the Center for Digital Cultures at Leuphana University Lüneburg in Germany. And there I'm working on my dissertation right now on anonymity, social media platforms, and data neighborhood networks. And as you see, I'm not coming traditionally from the field of management studies, and I'm also not based on a business school. I have a background in critical, cultural, and media studies and in STS. But I think this also already indicates that ephemera and our debates on organization are interdisciplinary, and also that our collective consists of scholars at different career stages. And yes, we are looking very much forward to giving you more insights about our work and the journal today.
Hi everyone, my name's Nick Butler. I am a member of the collective, like Randi and Birke. I've been a member of Ephemera since 2009. I'm an associate professor now, but I was a PhD student when I joined. So I think that also speaks to the continuing attraction of ephemera as not only an outlet for research, but also a community of like-minded scholars. And it's been something that's been important throughout my academic career so far. Yes, my research interests are broadly around publishing ethics. I'm also interested in work and play. Yeah, currently at Stockholm University Business School.
Yeah, so how we structured our presentation today is that we will talk a little bit about what ephemera is, what kind of journal it is, but also what it distinguishes ephemera from other journals in the field and also other fields, and then end with talking a bit about what you as a contributor to ephemera can expect. Ephemera is an online open access journal on the borders of organization studies. And what that means to us is that we consider ourselves as an interdisciplinary journal that invites and attracts contributions from many different fields, but we also position ourselves very closely in relation to the field of management and organization studies. So that means that we're very much interested broadly in the question of organizing an organization in a very broad sense. Ephemera is now a quite established journal in the sense that we exist, that we have our 20th anniversary this year, and we will celebrate that later this year with an anniversary issue and hopefully also a workshop and a party if the conditions allow. But it was founded in 2001 by some PhD students at Warwick Business School with a very explicit intention and ambition to provide a platform for critical publishing within or in the field of organization studies and management. And then over the years, obviously, the journal underwent a lot of changes and transformations, but has been a consistency in terms of our ambition to constantly and permanently interrogate the theory and politics of organization. So there is a commitment, as Alex also said in her kind introduction, to challenging thought and critical thinking, and to address the often taken for granted social institutional norms, structures, conditions that we all find ourselves in. We publish 4 issues a year. We have 3 special issues that are based on a call for papers for a particular topic, but usually 3 to 4 researchers curate this issue with the intention to engage with and also create and generate research on a particular topic. And then we have 1 open issue that a year that collects the contributions and publish the contributions that are submitted to Ephemera on a more continuous basis. Yeah, to date, we have published 79 issues, and if you do that calculation, that means that it's just a reflection of the consistency that we publish 4 issues a year. Yeah, in terms of the timeline, so a realistic timeline from when from submission of an article to publication within a full issue is roughly 24 months, and this has also to do with the pipeline of issues that we have. But we also have a forthcoming contribution sections on our website, so that means that as soon as a contribution is accepted after having gone through the review process, it can be published online. So what kind of work does Ephemera publish? And the subtitle of Ephemera is Theory and Politics of Organization, and that has been the subtitle for the past 20 years, and that reflects that is what we do. So it's very theory-driven work. We invite very theory-driven work, but always and often very much based on interesting and relevant empirical insights and empirical studies. So we welcome work that critically questions what organization is, what organizing is, what organization can become, and in this sense takes on an attitude that is critical, that is interdisciplinary, that's also innovative in the sense that often we have published topics that then later were picked up by other outlets and journals. And what is important for us is that we provide this platform for asking what you may say, the uncomfortable questions as well. So those questions that disrupt and that irritate and that may not as easily find a platform in other more established journals. So here are a few examples now of our more recent issues. Like you can see here the covers of those, and this is to give you a little bit of an idea of a taste of the range of topics that we have, from very critical questions in terms of the kind of institutions and formal organizations that we are embedded in, and markets and and more social structures. Like we have this issue on peak neoliberalism. We had an issue on managing the human was very much focused on critical perspectives on human resource management. But then we also have issues that are more focused on what are alternative forms of organizing. How can we organize differently, and how does organizing differently looks like? And we have here issues, for example, saving the city that goes into that, landscapes of political action. So as you can see, it's quite a broad range of different topics that we publish here. And the last thing I wanted to say that in terms of formats, that it's not only broad and also experimental in terms of the content that we publish, but also in terms of format. So we do have, of course, the standard article that goes through a double-blind peer review process. It's usually around 800 words long, but then we also have a range of other formats. For example, the notes, which allows you to publish a shorter contribution, around 3,000 to 4,000 words, and in a maybe more essayistic style, more experimental style. We have book reviews and also options to publish interviews, roundtables, and maybe visual contributions. For example, in one of the forthcoming issues that we have 2 short films that were produced also for that particular issue. So because we believe that these experimental formats, they're not only obviously a way to present your ideas and your thoughts in a different way, but also they allow you to create new and different ideas. So to have this reflected not only in terms of content, but also in terms of how it is published, and then what will what Nick will talk about, it's obviously also very closely related to how we are organized as a journal.
Thanks, Birke. Yeah, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about what makes Ephemera, we think, unique, why it stands out from many other journals in the academic field, particularly in organization studies. So in many ways, Ephemera does look like a typical academic journal. It publishes peer-reviewed articles on a quarterly basis, 4 issues a year. So in that sense, it kind of follows a kind of recognizable path of academic publishing. But Ephemera is also unique in a number of ways. So first of all, it's actually registered as a non-profit association. So this means that Ephemera is a legal entity that exists and operates for public benefit. That's kind of baked into its guiding mission. So the aim of Ephemera, legally speaking, is to advance the education of the public in organization studies on an open access basis. So this also means that we're completely independent from any kind of commercial publishing or corporate interests more broadly. And this has a number of different consequences. Perhaps the most significant consequence is that we are able to offer authors Creative Commons licensing. So basically, if you're publishing in a regular journal that's owned by Sage or Elsevier or another big publishing house, the authors lose the publishing rights. That is to say, they lose control over their own work. They're no longer freely able to distribute their work or republish it elsewhere. It's now owned by that large publishing corporation. A Creative Commons license means that the author retains control over their work. So you're able to distribute it as you wish. There are no restrictions apart from not being able to commercialize any part of your research or to reuse it for commercial purposes. So that's really an important part of Ephemera's philosophy, to challenge the commercialization of university research and to regain control over those parts of the university that are becoming increasingly commercialized and coming within the purview of corporate interests. And that's something we are working actively against. We're also unique in terms of our relationship to journal rankings, impact factor, and other types of metrics that are typically used to measure research quality. We think that journal rankings and impact factors are kind of poor measures of research quality. It's an unhelpful way to actually assess the merits of academic research. Highly ranked journals tend to be skewed in favor of mainstream orthodox positivist research in general. So Ephemera's policy is really to adopt a stance of complete indifference. We're simply not interested in engaging with any of the game playing around boosting our metrics or improving our rankings in various ways. Perhaps most unique of all, compared to other journals, is the fact that Ephemera is run by an editorial collective. So let me just talk a bit more about what that actually means in practice. What does it mean for Ephemera to be run by an editorial collective? Well, the first thing to know is that Ephemera is run by currently we have 18 members. This number can fluctuate and has fluctuated over time. It can go up to 20, 21, maybe as low as 15, 16 at times. So it's kind of fluctuating every now and again. That number includes 2 managing editors, of which Birke is currently one of those managing editors. But unlike some journals, it's more of a administrative role to kind of oversee the production of the issues rather than any formal decision-making title. So the collective operates precisely as a collective. We have quarterly meetings where we make decisions about the direction of the journal together. We all have an equal say, basically, in what the journal is and what we think it should become. And again, that philosophy is kind of baked into Ephemera as a journal, as a intervention in knowledge production in the university. So what does the collective do? Well, again, this speaks to our uniqueness. We basically do pretty much everything you can imagine that is involved in putting together an academic article. So we come up with special issues, the kind of intellectual work of devising special issue themes, sending papers out for review, writing editorial letters, kind of normal duties of anyone involved in an academic journal. But we also do a range of other tasks that are typically outsourced by some of the journals owned by the large publishing houses. So we do our own proofreading, we do all the layout and formatting, we design our front covers, we do all the uploads on the website. I'm currently the person responsible for uploading all of the papers and contributions to the web. We organize yearly conferences, as well as have our editorial meetings 4 times a year. So our motto basically is not to do any outsourcing as far as that's possible. Once a year, we hire someone to do web maintenance because currently that isn't within our skill set, removing bugs and so forth from the website. But that's pretty much it. Everything else we do in-house. All right, let me hand over now to Randi.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. So I will talk a little bit about diversity. So long before I started at Ephemera in 2017, at one point gender balance was an issue at Ephemera, for example. So sometimes those who have been around for a little bit longer than I am refer to the early editorial team as the boys with the books. But I can say that this description certainly doesn't fit Ephemera anymore. So out of the 18 collective members Nick just mentioned, 11 identify as a woman. So our collective is also scattered around different countries, for example, Denmark, Sweden, Germany, Austria, UK, Estonia, Hungary, Greece, France, and Australia, which is also great because at least before the pandemic hit, we tried to visit each other for those meetings Nick just mentioned, also to grow as a collective. But what you can also already tell from this list of countries is that Ephemera is quite focused on Europe and in a way kind of Eurocentric. So in some ways we are diverse, in others we are not diverse at all. And we like to be open about those issues. And I think, or I know that at Ephemera we do believe that missing diversity is an issue, but it is also an ongoing process for us to change this. And of course, this is also a topic we can talk about later. So why publish at Ephemera? I think there are many reasons why Ephemera is a great place to publish critical work. Ephemera is, as we heard, is an open source journal, and thus we support ideas of open knowledge and open access. Or to quote our website, I do like the sentence a lot: Ephemera provides its content free of charge and charges its readers only with free thought. So Ephemera is a platform on which critical discourse around organization in a broad sense, as you heard from Birke, takes place and is also shaped. And for this, we think different perspectives are needed, and we support interdisciplinary dialogues. But we also see the contact between our authors and contributors and reviewers as a form of dialogue. So for us, it's not a matter of critiquing new and fresh ideas as unfinished or half-baked, but of jointly developing those ideas further. And this form of kind of cooperative development of thoughts is especially important to us at Ephemera, because we think it is the only way to also find new and critical approaches. And in this sense, we also support unorthodox activist and artistic contributions, which is also reflected in different formats, as Birke already mentioned, such as art, sound, and film. So those are also welcome and supported at Ephemera. So finally, we would like to give you 3 points on your way. First, where you can find more information. So if you are curious, you can find more information on our website and also on our Twitter channel. And second, what is there to come? We are working hard on new Ephemera issues. The latest issue on work reconfigured just came out this month, a very contemporary topic right now, and I highly recommend reading it. And here you can also see the lovely cover. And even though our call for papers for the upcoming anniversary issue Birke mentioned has just ended, I promise that you that new possibilities to publish with us are waiting. So it's absolutely worth it to check out our website for announcement and also sign up for our newsletter, what you can see on the slide. And thirdly, submit. So please share your exciting ideas with us. This applies to critical or unconventional work on organization that you feel other journals will not accept, but also for potential ideas for special issues. So we are happy to chat with you on Skype or email and talk about possibilities to become a guest editor at Ephemera, but we also always welcome and search for new reviewers for the contributions and also ideas for book reviews. So please just write us an email, and I hope we could give you some insights about Ephemera. And now I would like to ask Birke and Nick if they would like to add something maybe before we start the Q&A.
Thank you very much, Randi. I think we can, from my side, we can go directly to the Q&A. And maybe Nick, would you like to read out the first question?
Yeah, I can do this. So question 1 from Hunter. I have also made an interactive sonic sculpture or a shape-shifting dress. I'm a visual and video artist, and would be interested in publishing with you. Could you tell me more about your art avenue? Randi, I guess you were talking about that. Is there anything more you can add?
I think we could, so thank you, first of all, Hunter, for your question, and it would be super interesting to hear afterwards a little bit more about the piece. So we could think about where it would fit, if it would be work for an open issue, for example, or maybe even would fit to a certain special issue. And I would suggest you can just write me an email or someone from the collective. I don't know how we share our contact here. I could maybe put it into the chat.
I think the best advice is always to either see whether it fits in a current special issue call that we have on the website, or to contact us directly, the members of the collective. One thing that we should add is that the formats are limited to the technical possibilities that we can come up with. So we do have the website, and the website allows us for a range of different formats. We had artworks visual artworks. I mentioned the films, but that is the one boundary that we have to work with in order to make artwork possible. But yeah, my advice would also to contact one of us directly and then take this further. And as Nick said, we have the collective meetings 4 times a year. So if it is something that would require a change of our technical infrastructure, then this will also be brought up during these meetings. I would go to the next question then. The next question is, they feed us much stuff. It says, you say no outsourcing, but you do have guest editors for special issues. Yes, we do. And that is important because that is also how we thrive and how we live as a journal. So the outsourcing that Nick mentioned, that relates purely to the production issues that we have, that is necessary when you publish an article. So that means all the layouting, as Nick mentioned, all the website uploading. We do this as a collective. We don't pass it on to someone else. And that is crucial. We do in our special issues are based on researchers approaching us saying, we have an idea for a call for a special issue. We have a topical interest, and then we discuss the call within the collective, give feedback, give comments, and then this is how our issues come to life. Maybe one thing that we should add is that usually when we publish a special issue, because of this intense production process that is connected to it, we have one member of the collective joining the editorial team, so that there is one person who has an overview of the not only the production process, but also ensures the standards and values that we represent as a journal.
Yeah, maybe I can just underline that point, because I think we definitely don't see that as outsourcing in terms of involving outside collaborators. I think that's probably a better way to put it. Sometimes people will have a good idea and we would like to work with them, but as Birke says, that's always with the involvement of at least one member of the collective. Sometimes they become a co-editor along with the guest editors, but sometimes they work more behind the scenes. But it's a process of constant dialogue and guidance, and we see those guest editing functions or guest editors' involvements as being fully integrated within the kind of collective decision making rather than kind of outsourcing.
So let me read question number 3, which is from Juliana. Is it possible to be part of your collective? Are you looking in increasing your membership? That's a good question. We should have addressed that. Actually, there is not one fixed way how we find our new members. And as Nick said, the number is always a little bit fluctuating, and we are always looking for new people who are interested. And a good way to kind of get in contact with us and work with us is usually to contribute an article or work with us, and so you get to learn a little bit about the way everything is functioning. At least this is, I think, how it worked in the past oftentimes. But you are also welcome to write us an email and tell us a little bit about your background and why you are interested in becoming a member. And then we have a short list with people who are we are discussing as a collective.
All right, so question 4 from Hunter about diversity. Hunter asks, how are you doing with regards to ethnic, religious, gender / LGBT plus queer, disabled diversity? And they mention in brackets, it's not a critique, but how do you actually go about diversifying? And they add, we're looking at a new departmental director and looking to increase diversity. Maybe we can learn from you. Well, I think actually Ephemera has a lot to learn from more diverse organizations. We already mentioned, or Randi already mentioned, that there is to some extent, diverse, and we have taken very explicit measures to maintain a gender balance, which in the past has been a problem. So we insist, for example, on having at least, if we have 2 managing editors, at least one must be someone who identifies as a woman. And we try to maintain gender in terms of collective membership, having at least half and half, male and female. In terms of ethnic, religious, gender, queer, disabled, we should probably be honest and say, well, we haven't actually made significant inroads. It's something that has been on the agenda for not very long, I have to say. That's probably one of the blind spots that we're keen to address. That's something we would also like to engage in conversations with you about. There are a couple of members who are not from strictly European background, but happen to work in Europe. But I think we to become diverse in all those ways we suggest. But yeah, thanks for the question. I think it's an important issue.
And in terms of a practical basis, that works on 2 levels, and one is to obviously in regard to the content that we produce, so to drive our special issues in terms of including those thematics that that call for being included, but also on a practical level, it means to also change the collective and our collective configuration, and that is based on ongoing discussions, obviously, and an ongoing process. The next question is, I was from Jan van Duppen. I was wondering whether you'd recommend waiting for a suitable thematic special issue call for one's research to come up, or rather to submit an article out of the blue. I would not recommend to wait for a suitable thematic special issue call, because as we hopefully conveyed in this presentation, we speak and include a broad and diverse palette of different topics and issues, and I think waiting would probably not be if you have an article that you are dying to write or that you want to submit, then you should not wait for a special issue, but submit it to our open issue call. The open issues, as I mentioned earlier, they are published once a year, and usually the nice thing of how they turn out is that we try, with the editorial that we add to the open issue, try to work out the links and connections and how we can make the different contributions that we receive at Ephemera constructive, in terms of also thinking these thoughts further collective, as a collective thought engagement in these editorials. So yeah, please just submit an article whenever you have an article that you would like to submit.
Okay, next question. I don't see a name here, and this person is asking how they can become a reviewer. And that's a great question, because like Nick mentioned, we are a double peer reviewed journal. So we depend on reviewers, and we are very happy when people contact us and become reviewers. For Ephemera, it would be helpful if you write us an email and mention in which kind of area you feel comfortable to review contributions.
Okay, the next question from David. David asks, I'm thinking of proposing a special issue. Fantastic. The essays would build on a prior book of mine for which I have purchased all rights, and I'm looking for a home for open access content. Would I be able to link it or otherwise incorporate it? In something like that, David, I'd probably say it's a case-by-case basis. As we mentioned before, the collective meets once a year, and those are usually the occasions where we discuss any proposed special issues. We might have one or two to discuss every year that come outside the collective. Sometimes we think fantastic idea and we go to other maybe it's not for us, maybe for another journal or a different kind of outlet. So I would have to say it's something that by all means contact us and tell us your ideas, but that's something that we look into and we discuss as a collective.
Maybe just to add quickly, something we should mention is that we as editors usually, or we don't publish our work in our journal, and this also counts for guest editors. And this is just, I think, an important rule which we should mention here.
The next question is by Howard Cattermole. It says, given all the ways in which ephemera is different, have you even ever considered moving away from double-blind peer review? That's a really good question, because ephemera is different, but it's also we're also always making an effort from criticizing from within. And until recently, the double peer review process was for us, or is for us, an important tool for quality assurance. However, we had a number of workshops and discussions in the last 2 years, I would say, about what is the future of critical publishing, to what extent. Now Ephemera has been there for 20 years, and obviously we also have to change our processes with the changing culture of the fields that we work in. And within these discussions, we have actually discussed what are other options and opportunities, what is the role of open peer review processes. And right now it is at the level of discussions, and also finding out and thinking about what are other forms and possibilities. But maybe Randi or Nick, if you would like to add something to that.
No, I think you covered everything, Birke.
Okay, would you take the next question then?
Yeah,
or Randi?
sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, Birke. Yeah, the next question is from Miriam, and she asks us, or tells us that she doesn't see any current call for papers on our website. That's right, you are not wrong. Our last call for papers ended last week, and it was for the upcoming anniversary issue. But of course, we are working on new ideas and new special issues, and please check our website and subscribe to our mailing list, and then we can inform you when we have a new call for paper.
So if I may just add that we should have hopefully next week, but rather soon, have one call up that is for our annual conference that takes place in May. This one will be on activist organizing or organizing activism. For this call, we ask for abstracts, 300 words abstracts for presentation on this theme, and we welcome. We would be very happy about your contributions, and based on this conference, we then also will have a call on that topic on organizing activism or activist organizing. And that also, yeah, we also have a few other calls in the pipeline that will come out rather shortly. And as Randi said, please sign up to our mailing list to be informed about that.
Another question here. Do you accept submissions in LaTeX, or what format do you use? I'm for someone who's responsible for the web upload. I'm not tech savvy in the slightest, and I don't really know how LaTeX works. Basically, most people submit in Word documents or some Word, open Word variants. Basically, we're pretty, I guess that's pretty lo-fi in terms of the submission process. We don't have an online submission system. It's all via email, via Word documents. So that's how you submit. Yeah.
And then, if I see correctly, this is the final question. Again, it might have been covered. However, I have just looked on the site and cannot see an email contact. Perhaps another. This is also by someone without a name. Our email contact, I think that it should appear if you click on our individual names on the website where it says about, and then you can also send an email to the editors at Ephemera. But maybe Randi or Nick, if you pull up the last slide, I think our contacts should appear again. I don't know. Ozan, I think this is it in terms of questions that we have received. Is that correct?
I see a few more actually.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, they just came in, but you were right, Birke. I think they're kind of brand new and fresh. So why can't I download the quarantined ideas issue? It doesn't seem to be on the website. Has it not been finalized yet? I don't think it's an sorry,
No.
Birke. Yeah.
Maybe Nick. Yeah.
Go ahead, Birke.
So the quarantined ideas issue is the issue that we published following the lockdown, which is a non-issue because as we mentioned, which is not it's a non-issue, but it is a statement. So as we mentioned, we are doing all the production ourselves. And when the lockdown, when the first lockdown hit many of us, we decided that because of many personal and contextual circumstances, we cannot go on as we usually do, and especially not at the same pace as we usually do. So we set out one issue, the first in Ephemera's history, and instead wrote a statement about what this crisis also means for Ephemera and more generally. So that is, so you clicked on that issue.
Yeah, the issue is, as Birke says, a non-issue, a deliberate attempt to kind of slow down the production process at a time when work is also being affected by the global pandemic.
And it was, our statement was actually written in a collective manner. It was written by the collective in a collective document and kind of reflects also the thoughts that we had at that time in that, in that immediate situation.
And we have one final question from Miriam. Do you use any strategy to link authors and or papers with one another to create a kind of dialogue aside from a traditional colloquium? We don't, but that's actually a really interesting idea. So kind of using the website hyperlinks to connect papers to one another. I don't think, well, we don't do this.
We have the
formally.
keywords. No, we have a technical option. So we do have the keywords, and then you get a list of contributions related to that keyword. But that's more a technical affordance. Yeah, it's a great insight. Yeah, inspiration. So, are there any more questions?
I think this is it.
Okay.
So, thank you very much. Ozan, do you want to put up the closing slide? So in the meantime, I just wanted to say thank you very much to Birke and Nick and Randi. That was really, really helpful and informative. And I certainly feel energized and inspired to get involved with Ephemera. So that was brilliant. Before we close, because we're nearly out of time, perfect timing, I just wanted to draw your attention to some of our forthcoming events. So the next event is on the 12th of March. And it's the third event now publishing critical work, and this time it will be with human relations. So you can register for that already using the Eventbrite page. And then on the 23rd of March, we have a webinar on the business of migration and immigration, which is also looking very interesting. And again, you can sign up to this already, I believe. Actually, can we? I'm not sure. If you can't yet, then you will be able to very soon. So it's just, and the best thing to ensure and to find out whether you can or you can't is to follow us on Eventbrite, and you'll be informed of any events as soon as they get set up for registration. Also, do follow us on Twitter, again, for news and announcements. And we do have our own YouTube channel where you can see all of the recordings of our past events. So if you've missed something, you can catch up. And if you particularly enjoyed something, you can revisit it and use it for teaching or whatever else you might wish to do with it. So, and if you're feeling inspired to run your own CMS InTouch event, then do get in touch with us to discuss your idea, and you can do it by emailing us at cmswebinars@gmail.com. So once again, thank you very much to Birke, Nick, and Randi, and thank you very much to my fellow colleagues at CMS InTouch who have been doing brilliant work behind the scenes. So thank you, Ozan, Kat, Vijayta, and Arturo. And this brings us to a close. So take care, keep well, and hope to see you again soon.